Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Jubair and I'm a PhD student here at UCL, and in my spare time I make YouTube videos. So my PhD is in the Department of Mechanical Engineering here at UCL, and it's to do with producing nanofibers to be used as wound healing bandages that are both antimicrobial but also improve the quality of healing. So before I did my PhD, I did my master's also at UCL in biomaterials and tissue engineering. And even before that, I did my undergraduate just across the road in biochemistry. So I would say I'm quite qualified to be talking about today's topic, which is a comparison between undergraduate life and postgraduate life here in the UK and in particularly London. So now I'm going to transform into another room, but I hope you enjoy the video. So the first main difference is experience. Most commonly in the UK, you have just finished college, you're at the age of 18 or 19, and you really don't know what the world has to offer, and you really don't know what you want to do in terms of career. At least that's how it was for me. At that age, especially in the UK, you are always encouraged to get a degree. A degree will be good for you, a degree will get you a job, and it's very difficult to know what you actually want. Shall I go for computer science? Shall I go for engineering? Sometimes it's just too difficult to decide. So often, we just choose degrees that look good or degrees that promise us a good career. This can often be a good thing, but sometimes it just makes us a little confused. And before we start a degree, college is nothing like university. University feels like a giant step from college, and we're just thrown into the deep end, essentially. Postgraduate life is different. I mean, you've survived 3 or 4 years of undergraduate life. You know how the graduate life is, and you made that choice solely because you wanted to pursue that career, because you wanted to get that job that required a master's, or you know that you want to do a PhD. So therefore, the difference between an undergraduate and a postgraduate is, as a postgraduate, you know what you're in for, or at least you think you do, because there are some more differences between undergrad life and postgrad life. So that leads me on to the second difference between undergrad life and postgrad life, which is the teaching style. So as an undergraduate, you are most used to colleges and secondary schools where the teacher would write something on the board and you have a syllabus and something to follow for your exams. Undergraduate life is kind of similar like that. There is some syllabus, there is something to follow because you are going to be examined at the end of the year, and the teaching style is kind of similar to college, but it's a step higher, as in there is a bit more autonomy, there is a bit more expected from you. Not everything will be taught in the lectures, and that's something that I found very weird / unfriendly when I started undergrad, is that not all the material is going to be on the lecture slides. That is actually a good thing, because teachers are making sure that you spend some time on your own to go over the content, and just by looking at the lecture slides does not mean you're going to get a first. So make sure you actually go through all the lectures and do all the extra work that you can do. So postgraduate life takes that up a higher notch. In fact, the lessons are more unstructured, or at least that's how it seems, because there is no definite syllabus. You are examined in the same way or similar way as an undergraduate, and most of the lectures are given by professionals, people in industry, people already professors, people high up in academia, and they're just lecturing, or they are actually just talking about their area of expertise. And you might be thinking, why am I forced to be in all these lectures where just people are just talking about their companies, people are talking about ribosomes or anything maths or science related, and it has nothing to do with what was written on my course? And that's because as a postgraduate, the expectation for you to teach yourself, or expectation for you to read around the content, find your own things, is just so much different. So actually, exam questions are marked completely different. Most of the times they're even marked by the same lecturers that give you the lectures from different disciplines, from different industries, and they want to know that you can think outside the box, that you have the critical skills, the analytical skills to actually look at the exam question and, from all the knowledge that you've gained as a postgraduate, put that onto paper. So I did my postgraduate as a master's in science, so an MSc, and also my bachelor's as a BSc. However, these tips will apply to you even if you're doing a master's or a bachelor's that are not necessarily an MSc or BSc. Maybe not everything will apply, but at least most of them will apply. So the third big difference between an undergrad and a postgrad degree is the course layout. So of course, an undergrad degree in the UK at least is 3 to 4 years. So that's 3 to 4 years for one course. This is intended on purpose to split a course into 3 years to allow the student to actually mature and grow through the years. Because like I said before, In the UK, you are just 18 or 19 years old when you leave college and you are put into the deep end with university. However, university as an undergrad is structured in such a way that it actually encourages you to actually go out, socialize, gives you some free time, and it gives you 3 to 4 years. Usually the first year doesn't add up towards the final grade, or some universities it might only be 5%. So that kind of gives you the encouragement, that the little boost is go out, socialize. And like most people say, there is nothing like your undergrad years. You should enjoy them, and if you don't enjoy them, you really do miss out, because you can never really replicate that even as a postgraduate. So basically, as a postgraduate, you only have 1 year, and the MSc course that I did, 6 months is dedicated to teaching and 6 months is dedicated to projects. So you only have 6 months really to learn the content, and that layout is just so different. 6 months of intense studying and then 6 months of project. It doesn't necessarily give you the free time or encourage you to actually do extracurricular activities. It doesn't encourage you to do traveling and stuff like that. In fact, some supervisors will be like, no traveling. So that's a big difference between the course layout of an undergraduate degree and a postgraduate degree. So the fourth difference between an undergraduate degree and a postgraduate degree is the difference in expectations from the lecturers and the markers. So basically speaking, as a postgraduate, you are expected to do a lot more. You are expected to go through the course content and make your own notes, your own knowledge, gain your own sources. You are expected to have more detailed answers during your examinations. You are expected to behave better as well. So there is a big difference between an undergraduate student and a postgraduate student. And as someone that teaches both undergraduates and postgraduates, I can strongly confirm that there is a difference between undergraduate students and postgraduate students in their keenness to learn. And that's not a bad thing, because honestly, as an undergraduate student, you're very young. Even if you're coming back to university and you're like a lot older than the other students, it's just that level of maturity is just different, and not necessarily a bad thing, but the position that you are in life could be different. So that's the small difference between an undergraduate student and a postgraduate student. So the final difference between undergrad life and postgrad life is project life. So both undergraduate students and postgraduate students have projects. So for an undergrad student, it might be the last few months of their final year, and for a master's student, it's usually the last 6 months or half their course. But there is a big difference between this. So as a project supervisor to both undergraduate students and postgraduate students, I routinely see the difference. So as an undergrad student, you are expected to do less work in terms of laboratory. This is because you are supervised different, you have different levels of responsibility. So you are also expected to have a smaller thesis, less explanation, and generally you have actually less time to do it. That is because as an undergraduate student, once you're doing your project, you are inundated or overwhelmed by other modules that are actually running concurrently. So you actually are strapped for time. However, master students have dedicated project time. So 6 months for me was dedicated to projects. So you are expected a whole heap more. For example, you're expected to be in lab every single day because you shouldn't have other commitments. You are expected to have a thicker thesis with more detailed description, more analysis, and generally in labs, as a postgraduate student, you are trusted a little bit more just because there are fewer of you, and by that time you already have an undergraduate degree, so you have some sort of credibility in terms of being in labs. And generally the difference is there is a bit more expectation, just like my previous point, between an undergraduate student and a postgraduate student. So those are my 5 key points for the differences between being an undergraduate student and a postgraduate student. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy this video, press a like wherever you're watching, and make sure you subscribe to whatever channel you see this on. I have been Jubair, a PhD student at UCL, and thank you for watching this video.